Hey peeps, it's me, Sean Callahan, and this is another episode of High Artworks here in Key West, and we are in Marlene. Now this is interesting. We've known each other for a while, both of us,
Good amount of
all
time
of
now.
us.
Yeah.
And I've always pronounced your name wrong, and you've never corrected
Well,
me.
no, already we can go right into it. Let me say this about that. I honestly don't know the correct pronunciation of my name because the family pronounces it Koenig and there's an E in it, but if you go to Germany, which is where my family's from, there's no E in it and it's pronounced Koenig.
But it's got an umlaut over the O.
It's
so it's
Koenig.
Koenig.
Yeah.
It's Koenig.
Marlene Koenig.
Hey,
You
So-
know, like Goethe.
Yeah.
It's not Goethe.
Gunther Koenig.
It's not Goethe.
Yeah.
It's Goethe.
Love you long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
it's. I've always said Koenig.
yeah.
So
there you go.
it's cool that you just don't. You just go
Yeah.
with the flow.
So already fascinating information.
Okay, so and I only know you as Nobby,
Yeah.
which cracks Judy up because
Yeah.
every time I mention your name, she just laughs a little
Well,
bit.
the knobby came from this bald head that I would knock around a lot because maybe I've had too many gins, maybe not, but it's not always that. But she's the one who gave me the
Nickname Knob.
nickname.
And everyone knows him as Nobby, so
But my name is Gregory Cantrell.
which I will never remember. You'll always be Nobby to me.
But no one calls
That's
me.
right.
No one calls me by that name.
He's a
Everybody
knob.
calls me Nobby.
He's a knob.
My,
I love
you'll like this. One of my best friend Julie calls me Gregma, like Smegma.
I have a sister Megan, and we all called her Schmegan.
Nice. Keeping it classy.
If you don't know what that is, look it up.
Look it up. There you go.
So Marlene's drug of choice is gin, which I'm already feeling is going to be a fun
Yeah,
ride
it's pretty good with
Gin?
with tonic and a lime.
and
Um,
the straws. The straws.
The
are
last
good.
time I drank this was in high school, and I don't remember a thing.
Yeah.
I think I may have lost something that night.
So it's good we're filming this.
Yeah. And my straw happens to be made out of paper.
Mhm.
Thank you, Elizabeth St. Hilaire. And you guys are using the metal straws. Thank you, Bruce Collins.
Yeah.
Both
All right.
artists.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Excellent.
I
Thank
evidently
you,
have a
Bruce.
straw fetish.
Whatever turns you on, people.
No, but it's very important. Very important.
So, Nobby is a poet, and not just says he's a poet, he's a real ass poet.
I just say
Like you see him walking around town, he's got books in his hand. I mean, he's reading, he's writing, he's living what a poet is supposed to be and do, and I love that about you
Thank you.
because you're authentic.
I think it's a strange thing that I've gone through, which is I wanted to be a poet when I was younger, and then I realized I wasn't really that good at it. And then I got to an age where I don't give a shit how good I am at it. I'm doing it, and I just do it,
Yeah,
and
you're
that's
great.
what I do.
yeah.
And whatever good comes out of it is
A
good.
lot of good comes out of it. I read your work. So, and Marlene is an encaustic artist, but also you do gigantic murals. And we've met. I'm going to look at the camera for a minute instead of you, because I'm Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
So we met at Stone Soup, which is a gallery I used to rabbit ears manage. Not very well, but I had fun. And we used to sell your work. I don't know if it's still
Yeah.
there or not. I haven't been there forever.
It's not there any
Okay.
longer, but only because
Yeah,
life.
Yeah.
You know, life changes.
me too. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
as it
Yeah.
goes. But-
It was
And
a good start for both of you. I remember that.
yeah,
very
I think
well.
I hit on you the first opening that you
And
had.
I
I didn't know they were married.
I don't think I minded.
Look at them.
No, we've been, and then we went to Italy together.
And we
Yes,
went to
yeah.
Italy together, did a retreat together.
Yep,
I-
she is a yogi as well. So, and you're going to see her work below this, and you'll see that a lot of your. Well, we're going to get into that, but her work and isn't just about her art. Her art and her life are intertwined, and I know a lot of artists that their life is very different from their work. Their paintings are different than their life. Your life is entwined.
Yeah.
Very much my life
Everything.
as a yoga student, as a yoga teacher, as a student of philosophy, completely informs my artwork.
Yes, totally
absolutely.
connected.
Yeah, completely connected.
As you will see.
I can say just from, we've been married for 18 years, and the greatest thing I've ever experienced is watching her practice art like yoga is supposed to be practiced, or vice versa, where it's an everyday practice of working different parts of yourself to get better here and better there, and to grow and to have it all merge, to the point that one of her best shows was actually paintings of yoga poses
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and that's one of the greatest experiences of my life, is to experience that with her.
You're
for sure.
going, and you're going down his path as well. So it's
Yeah.
you guys
Yep.
are going down a creative journey hand in hand, which
Yeah.
I have to say, I'm sweating to death. We were
It's
supposed
really
to all be
hot
wearing
in here.
hats. I'm taking mine
I
off.
actually have 2 more hats if we want to be wearing hats.
It's so fucking hot
It's
here.
hot.
It's really hot. It's really
Don't
really
mean to be
hot.
cursing, but just for realsy, it's a hot ass day.
It's definitely hot.
And so this is a part of your studio. And so tell me the story, because I do know about Tapu.
Right.
Tell me more about her, and this used to be where she painted?
Yeah, well, the whole compound is Susie DePue's compounds, and I just could not be more grateful to be part of it here in Key West. So Susie DePue was an artist and a supporter of the arts through the 70s and the 80s and the 90s here in Key West. She married a doctor, and so had means to help support other artists, so really did that, which made her an incredible human being. But also she was such a prolific artist who worked in every single medium possible, and when she did, she really threw herself into it. And so this property that we're on now, they bought 2 houses, her and her husband, and over here to our right are the 2 houses, and they made a connecting building in between them. And then they had this huge piece of land in Key West,
Which
and
is incredible.
Which is incredible, and
Especially
that's
the
why
location.
I mention it. And she built 2 or 3 more other structures on the property. So when she was working in glass, she would collect all the glass that there was to collect in Key West, and that would go into one building. If she was working in paper or scrap metal or tires, she would collect everything that there was to be collected on the island of that particular product, and another part of her studio would fill up and so forth.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So she really was very focused in what she did and was fortunate enough to have the space. But at the end of the day, when she passed away, the property was pretty filled up with all of that stuff. And so,
As you
to
can
put it
imagine.
nicely,
I fully expect.
to put it
yeah,
nicely,
yeah.
It's artist hoarding.
yeah, exactly. Artist, you never know
You
when
don't
you're
wanna
going to
get
need
rid of
that
your
scrap,
material.
and you don't want to get rid of it. So there were 2 giant houses and 3 other buildings that were full of that stuff. And a wonderful guy, Andy, who was the first owner of Blue Heaven, great guy, super supporter of, keeping Key West crunk, went into a bidding war with a hotel here in town to make sure that the property was not turned into a parking garage for a hotel. And we are so lucky to have a great hippie artist soul with a little bit of cash that
Not easy to find.
Not easy
Not
to
easy to
find.
find.
Was able to purchase the property cash down, and has welcomed this sense of communal living and community and artist residency and artist living here. So we dug out of that hoard. We all came onto the property when he bought it, and dug out together and cleaned it out and created the space that we now have. And now we have kind of a revolving door of about 10 artists that kind of come and go. And we have about 5 artists that are here on a pretty permanent basis and have been here since the beginning. So
Of which
it's,
you are one.
which I am one of, yeah.
That's
So I feel beyond lucky because Key West is such a small island, and there's so little space, and for an artist's life and what needs to be feeding that is here, and I get to be part of it. So
And I would
Yeah.
like to say, in my experience with her with this, I'm not sure if anybody out there knows like where this is, but this is
I didn't know it was here.
Yeah. Yeah.
two blocks from Sloppy Joe's and everything that happens
Right.
down there.
Which, if you've never been to
Is-
Sloppy Joe's, it's crazy town, like
Crazy.
2
Yeah.
blocks away.
It's and so this for this property to have been held in this state
Yeah.
for people like Marlene
Is
and people like yourself and myself,
unbelievable.
it's incredible.
It's incredible.
Because it's not somewhere uptown. It's not
Yeah.
on Stock Island. It's not on Big Pine. It's right here
In Old Town,
and
which
Old
Old
is,
Town, which is something
is
amazing.
sacred.
Yep.
It is.
And it has magic when you walk onto the property. I mean,
Yeah.
this is your first time
Yeah, yeah,
here,
yeah.
and it's crazy. You walk off of the madness
Yeah.
of Duval and the madness of downtown Key West, and all of a sudden you walk onto this property, and it's like,
Where am I?
where am I?
Yeah.
That's how
And
I
as
feel.
soon as, as, soon as you came off
It's
Day
got-
Street,
it's
you're
magic.
like, wow.
Yeah. Where the
And
heck am I?
It's I had to put it in my phone to get directions, and it said the Today Street, take a left. And I was
Today.
like, I love
Today
that.
Street,
Today.
that is.
Well,
It's
because
so-
you are open when.
I love. I mean, I really love that. Wow.
I was like, wow, today.
I really love that. It's great.
And I have
So
to say
more
that
magic.
I did not know about Tapu
Yeah.
until she passed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went to her retrospective show at the studios in Key
Incredible,
West.
right?
Yeah.
And I have to say, I've been to a ton of retrospectives of artists who lived
Yeah.
their whole life, and you see their body of work. Usually, it's
Right.
one medium.
She worked in everything.
Yeah.
She had everything.
Everything.
And what I loved about it was you could look at a glass sculpture that was found object,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you felt her in it, and then you would go
Absolutely.
look at a watercolor and you felt her in it.
Absolutely.
And then you would
Yeah.
go look at something totally else, and way
Was
different.
she the one that had the quote? I've been doing all this stuff, but now I'm making dresses. Maybe that wasn't
Oh,
her.
I don't know. Maybe.
You might have to
but
edit
it's-
this out. I'm sorry.
I don't know how to do
But
that.
That's a
this
great.
sounded
That's
like-
All or nothing.
That's a great
But
quote. If
we were
that
at
is.
the we were at the Custom House, the women's show.
Yeah.
The show.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think.
It doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah.
I think I've
I
got
think
myself
one woman,
into
I think
trouble.
you're right.
here.
Yeah, no, never.
There's no
There you
trouble
go.
here.
But there's a phrase that someone had that was like, I've worked in all these media, and now I make dresses.
Yeah.
And it sounds
Yeah.
like something she would say.
It does
So
sound
if
like
she
something.
did not actually say it, it is something that is in
Should
the
be
spirit
said.
of
Yeah.
what she said, of what she was like.
Yeah.
You know,
Cool.
like
Yeah,
that,
yeah, her spirit.
Did she own the house or live in the house by the cemetery?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's
That's
a
another
really
one.
cool ass house over by the cemetery that I guess she lived in before she died.
Yeah, absolutely. And, she
Rick
had,
Worth lived there for a while.
yeah, and she and Kim, another artist in town, also lived there for a brief period. But yeah, and she built that amazing kind of found object wall
Yeah,
with
yeah.
all of the glass and the mirrors. Really beautiful, like kind of naive art wall that she built. But it started to create too much attention for her, and she didn't like it, so she started to dismantle it. And
I was here when it was up.
Yep.
And I did see it kind of disappear.
Yep,
Yeah.
and she left kind of the corner. She left almost like a watchtower, one big kind of piece at the corner
Like
of
a
it.
scarecrow.
Yeah, and dismantled the rest because she didn't like the attention.
I went in that house
Yeah.
once and very late at night, trashed with Rick Worth and my sister Kate.
Oh man.
And we got totally high and walked through the garden
Trippy
in
house,
the back.
right?
Holy shit,
Super
the shower in
trippy.
the back. I was
Well,
like,
and
what?
again, I know we don't have time for this here, but what's going on in the main house here, these two houses, is I can't say enough about how it's extraordinary, because now it's this layering of Susie Depew, and now we're kind of getting the vibe of who this woman was, and now we have these 15 or 20 artists that are moving in and out of the house, creating work layered on top of it, and on top of that, the owner of this property now, who is himself like just such an amazing creative spirit, who is
Sounds-
doing wildly wonderful things. So if you've ever been to Blue Heaven and you've seen that kind of magic that's over at that restaurant,
Yeah.
he's partly responsible for that. So
Yeah.
he's brought that intention here.
Cool.
So that's good stuff.
Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Right on.
Good
Okay.
stuff.
Yay.
So, anyway, I'm going to do a spin at the end
Mm-hmm.
so you can see these are all of Susie Depew's books.
Yeah.
And this was like the entrance. Her studio is there, which is down Marlene's. Well, this is one of her studios, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm learning this as you are. So this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so both of you. Now I have standard questions I ask everyone.
Okay.
Make sure you're ready
Well,
when you're ready.
let's make another drink.
Okay, I'm going to make it as we talk. Um,
Sean can do two things at once.
damn right. So,
Everybody I know, by the way, is going to go, oh yeah, Greg wants another drink. Yeah.
they would only say,
I'm the
they'd say that
first
about me
one.
too.
I'm the first one.
Do you remember me in Italy?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
I
so many
do.
great,
Good
great.
trip.
I went to Italy meetings. Well, I knew you, but other than you guys, I didn't know the rest. There were 16 Key Westers. We all went on this yoga retreat.
didn't know Amy
I noticed I'm
and-
filling mine first. Nice.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Of course.
really class act.
Thanks,
Of
Oprah.
course.
Must take care
You
of
want
myself.
I've got ice for you.
Do you want help?
After me.
One of my other talents is also bartending, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's true. You're an
you
amazing
know,
bartender.
So you know,
If you
I'm
need more ice,
I'm a
grab it.
triple threat, you know.
You
so.
are.
It is a
Alright,
triple
total.
threat.
And guess what?
It's
Gin's good.
Bartending,
Gin is good.
bartending, yoga, and painting. Is that your triple
There,
threat?
that is my triple threat.
And she can fall asleep on a whim.
Oh, that's my superpower.
Really?
Oh my gosh,
Oh, I
that's my
can't do
superpower.
that.
I can fall asleep anywhere at any time.
No.
I am not.
I could do it right now if you wanted me to. But it might not be interesting.
Do you
for
have to go
It
through
might not be
something?
interesting to your viewers.
Do you have to go through like a mental?
No, I just
thank
close my eyes and I say, okay,
She's
I'm
got
sleepy,
this.
and
She's like she is a machine that shuts down.
yeah, I am.
Because
can't
I
turn my brain
lay
off.
there and I just, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, me too.
fret and what am I doing tomorrow and who am I? and
Cheers.
all this.
Drink too.
I love
Drink
gin.
too.
Gin,
I now
by
do
the,
too.
Gin is
Gin,
good.
by the way, Gin, by the way, they say, is the closest to a psychotropic drug of all of the alcohols.
All right.
And it
then-
also gives you the worst hangover
Well,
of
maybe that's
planet
why.
Earth.
So it has
I
the
do know
greatest
that.
psychedelic
So
effect,
we're,
apparently.
we're not
Cool.
only getting tipsy, but we're hallucinating, possibly.
Well, you know,
I have to say,
I mean,
I'm
there's
pretty
nothing
wide
wrong with
open
that.
about.
I need a lime.
I'm pretty open about drugs. I mean,
Yeah.
good, like ones that aren't going to ruin your life.
Yeah, yeah.
Or if you can handle them. If you
Right.
can't, everyone has their, like, I can't take Percocet because I like them too much.
Right.
That's
And
my
then you
weakness.
never
So,
paint
big
another
red
thing.
X
It's a,
over
yeah,
that,
it's like a
right.
devil
Yeah.
drug for
Yeah,
me.
So you know.
But somebody turned me on to Molly recently.
Molly?
Yeah.
Oh,
close,
ecstasy.
close to ecstasy.
Yes.
Close to ecstasy. Or
And,
better than ecstasy.
and
I don't know the young kids what they're doing.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
Mm.
It's not something I do all the time, but it just makes you smile. But
Yeah.
I guess there's good stuff and there's bad stuff, and so
As
that's
there is with
always.
everything.
I wouldn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
that scares me. That could be a bad. Like bad trips are terrible,
Bad
Oh,
trips
they
are
are.
terrible.
and they're 12 hours, so it's like, oh
Yeah,
shit.
what am I in
You know,
for?
yeah,
am I
kid,
for?
turn it
Yeah.
off.
Well,
Uh,
if we're talking about bad trips, I once did mushrooms with Greg and thought I was on fire.
No,
and
was that
spent-
mushrooms?
It was mushrooms. And I spent about, 4 or 5 hours in the shower.
Total
The thing-
drag.
But it really wasn't a
took care of it,
drag
though.
because I knew what was happening and it was like, I know what's happening. I'm not going to lose my crap. And
I
so
took care
I'm
of it,
like,
though.
yeah, I took care of
I've
myself.
needed
cooled
bad
her
like
off.
bad trips. My favorite part of a mushroom trip was sitting at someone's pool. This was in high school. We didn't have a pool. I was at somebody's house that had a
Yeah.
pool, and it was nighttime and they had lights on, and you know the light reflection.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
looked
oh,
like
yeah.
women
Oh,
dancing.
yeah,
And
that's
I
awesome.
just saw women dancing on
Isn't
the
that
bottom of the
amazing,
pool.
the stuff that you remember that
Yes.
you don't remember so much, but what you do remember, what the mind does hold on to? It's,
Well, that's
yeah.
why I mean I don't condone drugs if you don't want to
Yeah,
do them.
yeah.
No, no.
But for me, it definitely opens me up
There's
to
good and bad.
like I'm becoming a surrealistic artist. Actually,
Yeah.
you have a lot to do with that because you inspire me, and you're a surrealistic painter in a way. Not in a way,
Oh,
kind of
she-
you are.
yeah.
It's dreamscapes.
I think
almost.
I don't know if, I mean, right, blah, blah, again. I think what I'm trying to tap into when I paint is energy. So I don't think so much about dream, but I think that's linguistics, right?
Yeah,
So that's
yeah,
just
yeah, I
that's just
definitely-
language.
I think the surrealists would say energy. They would use the words dreams and psychoanalysis and all that, but they're talking about
energy.
Bad energy,
And-
yeah.
And,
You
and
know,
thought
the imagery
and idea.
of certain energy. Yeah.
And for so long, I closed the door to that. Like I would have weird ideas,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't paint them because I thought they were just too weird.
Like
And
for
now
you-
I'm just doing it.
But
like
didn't
for-
it feel
but for-
authentic to you to paint those things?
Now it does.
I mean,
Yeah.
didn't it feel like
But at the-
so? And doesn't it feel good now that you're painting them? Like, oh my God, it
Yep.
just makes perfectly good.
But at the time,
sense.
did you fight it because you didn't want to see that part of yourself, or like?
I think, I think, how things work out the way
Yeah.
they're supposed
Yeah.
to. I don't think I was skilled enough to actually produce.
To
Articulate.
actually get it.
Right.
Yeah,
To articulate,
like
yeah.
so, in some way or another, I just stopped from doing it because I
Right.
wasn't ready, and now I am.
Right.
But I think that you went through that. Like, I think her vision has always been similar to what she has now. Not that it doesn't evolve or become bigger and better, because it does, of course. But I think at the very beginning of our relationship, you might have had a little bit like,
I
would I
was
really want to
tentative.
paint? I
Well,
can't
it's
draw."
funny. I think it's the same thing Sean just said. I think
Yeah.
it's skill, and that takes time, and honing that skill and kind of narrowing in, and all of a sudden you connect the dots, and it's timing. It's
Yep.
like all of a sudden it's I couldn't do what I do now at 20. I couldn't
No,
connect
no.
those dots.
I couldn't.
Now with a lifetime, or not a lifetime, but over 40 years of
Yeah.
experience, I'm able to connect those dots in a
Oh,
way that I
totally.
couldn't connect them when I was 20.
And
Oh,
it's
and you're-
complete confidence as well.
This is
Because-
it. It's authentic. This is
Yeah.
what I do. This
I
is
don't
what I
question
do.
it. Yes.
This is what I do. And sometimes when people come to me and they ask for, design work or for, work to be done for them, I immediately say, I do a very specific thing. So if you don't want this very specific thing that I do, I don't want you to be disappointed. I don't do realistic drawings. I can't make a painting of you that looks like you. That's not what I do. Like, I can do something else. And so I always make that really clear whenever, a client comes to me looking for work. It's like, I do a very specific thing, and it's,
How do you feel about commission work?
okay.
There we go.
Well, I love it. Bring it. Bring
Girl, you
it.
ain't gonna say anything I don't
But-
want to say.
But okay, because you asked, it's hard. It's
It
really
is hard.
and it's really hard for what I just said. Is that people come to me and they say, "I love everything you do."
Expectations.
Like, it's like, no, you don't. You don't. I it's really sweet that you say you love everything I do, but you don't. So, this is something else I have learned as I've gotten older. I've learned how to get to it. I've learned how to get to what people are looking for. So I now have a series of questions that when a client comes to me and asks for commissioned work, I ask. It's like, I show them a bunch of my work and I say, what are you responding to? Are you responding to color? Are you responding to shape? Are you responding to layout? Like, what is making you like the pieces and come to me so I can get to what they're trying to get at?
Because a lot of times they can't really verbalize
No,
what they really want.
that's exactly it, Sean. They don't know why they
But
like something.
I would
It's-
imagine that both of you experience in that, like what I've experienced with her, and I'm sure you do too, is people think, well, just paint me this.
Right.
And it's like,
Eh,
No,
yeah,
I'm going
it's-
into your
just-
territory,
Yeah.
and you got to be more
I mean,
specific.
Right,
you
exactly,
have to
right?
really get,
Right,
I
right.
mean, that's what you go through.
Yeah.
Very much.
So yeah, I think commission work is tricky, but we need
And you
it.
do so much of it. I mean, you do a lot of commission work, and you really are nailing it every time you do it. It's
No, I
just,
know.
But
Yeah.
I like
take-
while I was in the car before I came here, and I'm dealing with a couple that are in Tokyo right now on a boat. That I'm painting their dog, their Dalmatian, and there's something that she doesn't like,
Yeah.
but she's not being specific.
she doesn't know what she
Oh,
like,
God.
doesn't
So
like. It's
first
just,
it was the
yeah.
eye, and I fixed the eye, what she said, and then
Oh,
I just
no.
got a message that
Oh.
there's a line in the forehead. So I'm actually I'm taking the picture and I'm using it on my cell phone,
Yeah.
circling areas and going,
Like,
is this
it
the
this
area?
It? Right.
You know,
is this,
so
right.
it's,
It's tricky because exactly what you just said. People
Oh,
don't
man.
know what it is that they're responding to. They don't know if they're responding to color, shape, form, what it is, and so
And when we do a job, like when you're
Yeah.
doing that, which is a job,
Yeah.
but they're great jobs.
great jobs.
Keep
We
'em
love
going.
them.
Yeah,
Keep them coming. Keep them coming.
So
We
when
love
you
'em.
do it and it's done in your mind, you know,
Yeah.
you don't want to go back.
No. Oh my god. And you almost can't go back because the
It's-
energy has shifted so much. You're like, I'm not in that flow
No.
anymore. Like,
Yeah.
we're done here.
You become a resentful
Yep.
artist.
Oh, that's no good.
Now we're giving away too many secrets.
Yeah.
So
And-
I just finished up a mural over at Moondog Cafe, and the best thing about that commission piece was the person commissioning me to do it was like, get as weird as you want, do whatever the heck you want.
Nice.
And that allows it to be so authentic and not to be edited, and it's one of the proudest pieces I feel like I've ever done because of that, because it was like, do whatever you want. I trust you.
And
The
And-
woman with the long back of her head, it was on the side of a wall.
Oh, that was
Oh,
in
that was up in
Wynwood.
Miami. That was
And-
a while
but that
ago.
was cool because that was
Yeah.
in Wynwood.
And that was also
I don't
Also-
even know where that is.
Yeah.
Well, it's in Miami, but it's a major. Wynwood Walls is a major, like,
Cool.
like for over the last
The
10
Art Center of
years,
Miami,
or more
yeah.
than that, 20 years.
That was incredible.
Thank
Can
you.
you send the picture so we
I
can?
can definitely.
You guys
send
will
a
see
picture
it.
of that.
It's
Yeah.
like her work. You're gonna love her work.
and the
So one of the questions I ask everybody is, and I think I know, where you were born. Let's start with
Yeah,
me first.
Greg, go
I was
first.
born in Pomona,
No way.
California.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say New Jersey.
No,
I lived near
No.
Pomona. I did.
in
Pomona,
New Jersey.
New
New
Jersey.
Jersey.
Where is
Yeah.
Pomona, New Jersey?
You don't want to know.
Well, you don't want to know where Pomona.
It's like in the
yeah.
Pine Barrens. People disappear there.
But I grew up in what was called
Glad you didn't.
the Inland Empire.
Wow.
It was San Bernardino County, California. It's about 30 miles east of Los Angeles proper, but it's all a megalopolis, you know, all the way out to me. So
Megalopolis.
it
I like
took
that.
it took
Greg,
dinosaur.
knows, Greg knows words.
I have the hat on.
He does.
I can.
I'm proud of you because it's
But
felt. It's hot.
So I was born in Pomona. I grew up in Ontario,
Oh, cool.
California, which
California?
yeah, which now has
There's
a
more
major
than one place
international.
named the same thing.
Oh yeah,
Who knew?
but it was suburban, baseball, very nice, very
Greg is an
easy.
incredible baseball player.
Are you really?
I'm not bringing that up. I was at the time, but not like some of my friends. But I was pretty good. Yeah.
I was a kid that was last picked.
I would've
like.
picked
I'm not
you.
looking for sympathy. I could give a fuck now, but really, at the time, you're like 12 or 11 or whatever, and you know you suck.
And isn't it incredible that they let you pick teams?
Yeah, it's
teams
all
like
wrong.
right? That's
Yeah.
wrong
Yeah.
because somebody's gonna be picked last.
Yeah.
Like that seems like.
and you just feel like shit.
Well, I would,
Stop doing that.
But look at you now.
Yeah, fuckers.
I I would say this in relation to that, to use a Marlene phrase. I'll say this about that.
Bring it.
Go get.
I was good, but in high school and especially shortly after high school, all I wanted to do was write poetry, and or write something, and be that kind of a person and travel, which is the person I've become.
You are that person.
Everybody,
You're a
not
Renaissance
everybody,
man.
not everybody, but almost everybody that I was just as good at in sports, found out they weren't any better at sports than I was and fell away. A few people I can name that went on to say, sports was that at that time. You know, it isn't our lives now. You know, like, I was good at that, but I wasn't going anywhere with that.
Yeah.
You know,
It was an interest.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, and I was good at it. It was fun.
You were
And-
good at 18,
and
but
it-
there were really good players.
oh
that,
yeah, and but
there were Mark McGuire's.
but it was I played against Mark McGuire
I don't know who he is, but
one game.
I'm impressed. It
It
sounds
doesn't
like he's
matter.
famous.
It doesn't matter. But the point I'm making
I'm
is
gay.
Am I-
Actually, I know tons of baseball players that are gay. No offense.
Yeah, there might be more than you think. I'm sure there are.
Oh my God! Yeah, there's gay
But
leagues everywhere.
I just went a totally different direction, and I happened to meet someone who was an anthropologist. So I'm like, 20, and I meet this girl who is 2 or 3 years older than me, and she's about to go do her PhD in New Guinea. I'm sorry, we traveled to New Guinea first, but in Venezuela before. Papua New Guinea.
Papua.
That's the only place I know there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's the eastern.
I wanna go there. It
Eastern
looks-
half of the island.
Incredible.
Yeah, I've been there.
In fact, it is one of the places that they say for Americans to escape to. Like,
Papua New Guinea is one
because
of the
shit's
places.
getting so real
Shitty,
here.
yeah.
Yep. That's funny.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was there, it was like the last place you were supposed to go.
Really?
Yep.
I don't know.
Well,
I'm definitely
just-
going to visit. But
Just the idea that I went a totally different way of going through literature and philosophy and poetry and whatever I could do and traveling, and I have to say to everybody, none of this could have happened without my family. My father, my mother, my sister, my nephew who lives on this property.
Really?
That.
I didn't know you had family here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, which
Yeah.
I totally would have forgotten.
He's probably listening to us right
Uh,
now.
okay, Patrick Kelly. I went to high school.
Oh, Patrick Kelly.
This
know-
is
So this
we
is
know
wild.
Patrick
This
Okay.
is crazy.
I know. It's just 6 degrees of Kevin
Craziness.
Bacon, whatever.
Yeah.
So I went to high school at St. Joe's Prep, St. Joseph's Preparatory School for Boys.
And you have to say it. You have to say it like John Houseman.
As he did.
Yeah. St. Patrick's
So-
for boys.
For boys.
So,
So one of my buddies, sorry Patrick, but we were stoners. There was groups, you know. I was a stoner, and the
A
teachers
gay stoner.
totally. Well, I wasn't gay.
Oh, yeah.
I totally was, but I wasn't.
Okay,
Nobody
sorry.
knew. I was
So,
undercover
too
brother.
soon, sorry.
But I wasn't a practicing gay.
Right. You got a lot of practice. with
Yeah, well, not a whole lot.
that. No, sorry. There's
Anyway,
too much
Patrick
kid.
Kelly was a buddy of mine. We would get high and everything. You were really smart, though. I was like, I think I graduated the end of my class. Like, I was like the third.
I graduated totally at the bottom of my class also.
Does that suck?
Totally at the bottom.
Sorry, we're being negative.
All
but
artists
you know,
do.
No,
You know,
I will say this about that. I think it is an indication that just
Your
did not
interest-
interest us.
Right.
no.
Your
And it
interest is
didn't.
elsewhere.
No,
Didn't
I
interest
could
us.
have cared less.
Less, right.
I just needed
So-
to get through.
Right.
Everybody has to wear the hat.
Right.
But that school was like, Patrick will tell you, it's like doctors and lawyers and
Right, yeah.
people like that go to that school.
Right.
I should have been in an art school right from
Right from the
the
beginning.
get-go.
Right.
So it was like suffering for me, you know, and I
Yeah.
felt dumb. You
Yeah.
know, it's
You
hard
got
to
it, people.
try to. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Isn't it like it's just the
Looks better. It
hat,
looks
you know?
better on her.
Total
As soon as I
Clockwork
saw
Orange
it,
awesomeness.
it wasn't expensive. It was. I got that in
I'm
Paris,
a big fan of hats.
and I saw that hat.
Did
and
you
I'm-
get it in Paris on
Yeah.
the trip we were on?
No, I don't think I was. I wasn't in Paris with you guys. You
I
went
thought you
before.
guys went before or after Italy to
We're
Paris.
gonna
Anyway,
lose-
go
we're
ahead.
gonna lose
No,
Patrick
don't
first.
lose.
I went to meet with
Patrick
my
Kelly.
dad. He was in Ireland. We were supposed to meet in Paris. And I was take him to Normandy, where he was in World War II.
Ah,
And he
right.
landed in Normandy.
Right.
And he wanted to see it before he died.
Right.
And then something happened and he couldn't make it. So I ended up in Paris, stuck in
Poor-
Paris. And it was
Yeah.
Fashion Week and I had no place to stay. That's a
And
story for
that's
another
a
time.
story.
Story.
All right,
But Patrick
so-
Kelly,
Yeah.
because this
Patrick
is
Kelly.
important to us.
Okay, so yeah, a gazillion years ago, we went to high school. And then he works in the pharmaceutical business, which my cousins own Callahan Chemical Company, which my dad worked for. And Patrick Kelly meets my cousin, Joey. And everybody knows I'm HIV positive, so it's not a big secret. So, that stuff spreads through territories. And he heard that I had died.
Right here. Right
But
here.
he's standing
Flesh
right
and
here.
blood.
I know.
Sitting right here.
And so
Drinking gin.
he runs into my cousin, who is in the pharmaceutical industry, his family, and at a business thing. And he said, "I'm sorry about your cousin, Sean." And he's like, "Why?" So he finds out I'm alive. And he sends me, he Facebook friends me and starts chatting with me. And he goes, "I have my wife's sister lives in Key West and she's an artist. And he tells me it's Marlene Koenig. And I'm like,
Hating.
Koenig.
Whatever.
Co-
Whatever.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
That was a good kind
And
of
I'm like, I
circular-
know her.
Yeah.
I was just in Italy with
Yeah.
her. I mean, so it's so funny. Anyway,
Crazies. 6
yeah.
degrees.
So Patrick Kelly is Mike Kelly's brother, who is married to Marlene's sister.
yeah.
That's
Crazy.
incredible.
And that could have,
Crazy.
like, even that it got to that point.
Point.
Yeah.
It totally, I mean, and I don't know if our viewers are this interested, but Greg and I meeting,
Oh yeah.
we met in New York City. We both were living in New York.
This is a great story.
And Greg actually was the ex-boyfriend of a good friend of mine that I was bartending in New York. She was a waitress. We were very good friends, blah, blah, blah. That's how I met Greg.
My ex-girlfriend introduced me
Right.
to her.
Exactly.
And
Great
to her
ex-girlfriend.
credit.
Right,
To
exactly.
her credit. No, to her
How did you
credit.
get, like, we don't have to, this is,
Yeah.
like, I'm always, like, interested, but you don't have to say. Was that a difficult, like, hey, I'm attracted to your ex-boyfriend?
No. Well, no. No. Well, no.
I will answer for
I
her,
love
no.
when Greg always answers. He's like,
No,
No.
I thought you were gonna say no.
Well, I mean, that's tricky territory.
Yeah.
Wait, no, because
Not for guys so much as it is for
I mean,
girls.
did you actually have that experience?
absolutely not. His ex-girlfriend.
By the time this
was ama- was
happened,
amazing.
It was past.
it was past for me and the ex-girlfriend. You know,
I did think it
at
was
least
crazy.
I thought it was.
Yeah. No, you're just, yeah.
But anyway, go ahead, because if you're gonna get to the Mary Mellison
Yeah.
thing, it's
So
good.
there's that weird connection there with you and Patrick Kelly, the Kellys. I met Greg through his ex-girlfriend in New York City. She happened to be a waitress at a bar that I worked at, and she invited me to
I
an
had a
artist
meeting,
meeting down in the Lower
kinda
East
like
Side
this,
of Manhattan.
Chinatown.
In Chinatown, where Greg and his had this amazingly big, beautiful loft situation, like the lofts you see in movies, like
Yeah,
overlooking Chinatown.
I didn't have
5,000 square foot,
I
but
must say, everybody, I didn't have it. What I had was
A room in it.
no, a guy who I knew, who I got to know just around the neighborhood, who had come from Scotland to work on the gilding of the renovation of Grand
the
Central
train,
Station,
Grand Central Station.
and had made some money
Yeah.
doing that,
I would say so.
and
Yeah.
had moved. So he had that skill.
Right.
And had moved and had bought a one floor of what was a sweatshop in Chinatown.
Mm-hmm.
It was 9 floors, and we were on the 7th floor. And every other floor, I swear to you, was when I moved
Sweatshop.
in was
Thank you.
ice, people feeding sewing machines
Sucking
with
on
ice,
ice
sucking
and
on ice.
sewing all day long,
And
like
all of this.
sweatshop in downtown
But
Manhattan,
he saw
Chinatown.
the future, and I mean, and no matter what anybody thinks about this, I'm not sure what I think about this, but he needed someone to move into what it was a 5,000 square foot loft. I mean, the floor was 5,000 square
Those are
feet.
called fabulous patrons.
Well,
it was
so
just
he
unbelievable.
he leased it, and then he needed just a little income, and so we happened to run in the same circles, and my friend Marie and everybody, and so I got to
Sorry.
move
You
in.
need more ice.
I got to move in to what would have been the office of this 5,000 square foot sweatshop, but he had turned it into an art studio. I mean, it was a huge.
It was amazing.
I already visualized it. It was huge, open
It was
to my glass, all
amazing. So Greg
windows.
had this unbelievable space.
So I was in what was the office.
Yeah.
So that would have
Tiny
been
little room.
probably as big as this room.
Yeah.
Not even as big as
which
this
is
room.
like an 8 by 15,
And I think I paid him $1,000 a month,
which is great
which
in New York.
to live there in that place, because he also had a girlfriend so he never stayed there. So I went to work during the day. He was a painter. He actually didn't teach you,
But he
maybe.
was the first encaustic painter
Encaustic
I saw
painter
up
that
close
she
and personal. Like I
encountered.
saw, I would come over when Greg and I started dating, and I
Yeah.
would look at like what was going on, all of this double boiling and the wax and everything like
Yeah.
that, and these paintings. I'm like, what is this guy doing?
Talk about encaustics, because a lot of people that might be watching this.
So encaustics is a very, very ancient way of painting. So on esophagus,
I'm not sure where you're at.
Egyptian,
Egyptian.
Papyrus
nope,
Putting
the mummy in the ground
is mummification.
I know what you mean.
esophageal.
We've been drinking.
All
All right, so whoever knows the word, call us.
Starts with an S.
Sophistication.
Esophagus. So
Esophagus.
no, but you know what I'm saying. Oh, this
It's
is-
not the esophagus.
This is just sad.
It's not sad. It's getting high with the sun.
I know.
It's
I
high
know,
artwork.
I know, and it's high artwork.
And I haven't asked my question yet.
Esophagus.
We don't need to, though.
All right, but you know what I'm saying. So when mummies
Look it
were
up. Look it up.
exhumed, on the top of them there would be a painting of the being that was in there. And it wasn't done in oil paint, it was done actually in wax. It was done in
Wow.
encaustic. So it has been, so when people ask me how long does a wax painting last?
You can
5,000 years!
Holy shit.
Right? So it's a
Under the
very
right
ancient way of
desert
painting.
conditions.
It's a combination of tree resin, which is the hardening agent, beeswax, and oil, and a pigment agent.
So it's all really organic, really.
Very, very, super
Yeah.
organic. I mean, this is, so if you look at the history of encaustic painting and when it was done initially, yes, it was what we have around us. How can we
It's amazing what you do. And
Thank
you add water. I've seen watercolor, too.
Well, what I do is not straight up encaustic. What I do is mixed media. What I do is a combination of oil painting, watercolor painting, and encaustic. Among
We've
other
never talked about this, but
Yeah.
I remember, like, I was in the gallery and her work was hanging, and so I would just stare at it. I mean, you'll see why when you see it. And I would see
Layers.
watercolors
Yeah.
in with, but not all of it, and I'd be like, how the
Yeah.
fuck is she doing that?
And that's the best compliment you can give an artist. It really honestly is. Like, how are
the
you
fuck
doing
are you doing
that?
And you know,
I
and
wanna
I have
think
an
about
eye.
it, yeah.
I mean, I can figure
Yeah.
shit out. I
Yeah.
couldn't figure her out. And before I forget, we had some of your San Francisco work. You were living in San
Yeah.
Francisco for a while.
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know a lot about this, but I remember Melissa, who owns the gallery that I was managing.
You did a great job.
I
Oh, you
tried,
You did a great
Oh,
job.
and I
you're
still
great.
love her. She's my
Yeah,
family.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
and if you're ever in town, go see her gallery,
Oh,
Stone
definitely.
Soup.
White
It's,
Street.
What? It's
Oh,
802 White Street,
it's great.
and she's super fun. And her secret word is mango.
Yeah.
It's what?
Mango.
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 Yeah.
Ah.
Get 20% off. Just saying. If you don't know that,
Mango,
you
mango,
guys
mango.
No kidding. Wow. I didn't
So,
know that.
your work was darker.
Yeah.
Very
Yes.
much different now. Like, I think it's even different now than when I knew you then.
I honestly think from.
There's been 3 transitions.
I think it's lightening up. It's getting lighter in every
Mhm.
every sense of the word. So
your
when
color palette.
everything about it. When I first found encaustic, which was like a eye-opening, moment of like,
But-
there it is,
This is
there
it.
it is,
But
this is it.
get back to that. But don't lose it because it was in that studio in Chinatown.
Where she studied.
Right, where I
There
saw it.
was one night that she and I spent the night together, and I had to go to work.
Yeah.
But by that time, she had met my friend,
Johnny.
like I said, who never stayed there at night. So we had the rent of the place
Right, so
at
we-
night.
yeah.
But he came back to paint
Right.
during the day, and so 11, 12, in the
Which is where we
morning
usually start.
Yeah.
is. But
saying.
but you saw him doing it,
Yeah.
and he showed you,
Yeah.
and from that point on, I think it is true
It
to
ignited
say
the
it
interest
ignited
in
the
like
interest.
that
yeah.
kind of because I always knew I wasn't a straight up painter. Like,
Right.
and that's a weird thing when you are an artist and you're trying to figure. Like, I'm not a straight up painter. Like, I can't just paint in oil. I can't just get my vision out in watercolor. Like, I can't. So I'm looking for that thing, that one thing that's going to make it pop. Like, there it is.
Well,
And
it's totally embraces you.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it just makes
That's-
sense. It's like
you're
now,
lucky you
there's
are.
the vision.
That's really incredible that you landed that
Yeah.
so soon, early on.
Yeah.
Well,
But then-
I think it was late. I mean, I saw it. I didn't meet Greg until I was 30. So
Well, no, you met me at 29. But still,
29.
we were
so,
married at 30.
Yeah.
There
So
you
I
go.
mean, I feel like I don't know. It depends on how long. I plan on living to 175. So yeah, early.
But the other
But I
thing,
mean, some people never really
Right.
figure their.
but the other
Right,
thing
me-
to say
yeah.
about that experience is that Marlene took what she got there for a minute from that guy, who I loved and she loved, and took it a totally different way. I mean, like
Got the basics of
didn't
encaustics and then
he didn't do
ran.
that.
Right.
I mean, he did other paintings like that weren't anything
Yeah.
like what you took it a whole other way. Like maybe with the
Yeah.
encaustics you were talking about and using some oils and using
Yeah.
but it was a
Well,
good.
it's incredible. She puts pigment in the wax.
Yeah.
So, but there's also watercolor there. There's oil in there. I mean, that I did not
Well,
know. I knew about because I saw the watercolor. I'm like, that's watercolor.
Yeah, I recognize that.
And as a painter, when you're looking at well, you do that.
So basically what I do is I make an oil painting because oil, it can combine with all of the chemicals in caustics, so that's makes sense. You can't use acrylic with encaustic because that water base would make the wax peel away from an oil painting. So what
Oh,
I do
wow.
is first
Didn't
make
know
it, yeah.
I didn't
So
know that either.
oil and the wax,
connect.
friends. The water and the encaustic are not friends, so you start creating bubbles and the stuff won't last and it'll fall apart.
How
very
many
quickly.
layers are in roughly?
It depends on basically a very basic painting. It's an oil painting. I make then a watercolor painting that's adhered to the oil painting. And then I may put a layer of beeswax over the top of that, and that is kind of the primer for encaustics to happen. So you have a primer for painting, you know, you
It's
put
like a
your,
sealant.
right, exactly. You put your white layer down that's gonna allow that to happen. So that beeswax is my primer, and then I will do a painting in wax, and I do that with hot tools, and the painting comes
crock pots.
crock pots.
Literally,
that
like,
heat the,
literally.
heat the paint up,
Yeah.
and I work with hot tools.
I mean, it's
and
like
that's-
you're cooking a meal.
yeah, and that's how I lay
Honestly.
that down. And then on top of that, if there's going to be another layer, it would be another oil painting layer on top of that. So that's how you kind of build this combination of a mixed
It's
media.
many layered and
Many layered.
trippy.
Yeah. Sarcophagus is what.
Sarcophagus, we got it.
Sarcophagus. That's a
Yes,
coffin.
sarcophagus,
It came to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, that's how I build those paintings.
Cool. Who's your favorite artist?
Well, I knew
Favorite
that.
writer's next.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite artist. That's
Oh, it's-
really
Right now,
right.
off the top of your head, who did you think
Terrible
of first?
question.
Blaine Fontana, who is an amazing.
Oh, of course, you come up with something like that.
Amazing artist right now who works. I believe he works out of Seattle. He was a graffiti artist to begin with. He's probably about our age, but he's one of these artists that took graffiti and took it to the next level. He took street art and design, and he took it to the next level. And he
Don't be
just
offended.
blows
I'm
my
just going to
mind.
say Banksy.
Bansky,
Sure.
I love, but I am a color person, so if you see my art, you'll get the connection. But Banksy, oh my God, who's smarter?
Yeah.
Who's more intelligent? Who's more thought-provoking? Who's more cutting edge, involved? All of it. Yes.
I have to introduce you to a friend of mine who I sell her work, Kristen Norman, who is also, she was inspired by Banksy and she's a spray paint artist.
Ah, yeah, good design.
And I love her, and she's a many-layered onion, and
Yeah.
she's on this island.
Yay.
And
Oh,
she
wow.
is a huge fan of yours,
Oh, I need to meet her.
and she wants to meet you.
Oh.
Like, she goes,
Bring it.
she told me she's a stalker. She's what do you
I
have
love-
a stalker.
I love a good stalker. I love a good stalker.
stalker.
Yeah, they're good.
And I love Banksy, and I love that whole, I love the spray paint stencil work, and it's just so smart, and that's such good design work.
She
And,
does renegade stuff.
Excellent.
Not really.
Not really.
But I'm gonna do one with her.
Not
Awesome.
really.
Yeah. She does them under the bridges and stuff. Nobody like unless you know.
Yeah, where it is.
There'll
what's
be a
going on.
kid like totally looking around a corner
Yeah.
underneath one of our bridges.
Yeah.
And that might be her, it might not be her.
This town needs that. This is a call out to
She
people.
She did the.
Yeah.
We have a little place here. It's not open again. Maybe it is. It is 2 cents. Is it open yet?
2 Cents is closed. It's now
Yeah.
Horseplay.
She did the. They let her do whatever she wanted there.
Oh.
So all that work is hers.
Oh my God! Fantastic!
Yeah.
Yay! I want to meet you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We
totally
all
will do that.
need. We
Uh,
all need more people who can't afford to live here to live here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we don't.
No, but what I mean is artists.
Artists,
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm
We
like,
need a
no,
way
I
to find
know.
a way for artists to afford to live
That's
here.
Yeah,
what we
that's
need to.
exactly
That was
what we
the
need.
roundabout way
Yeah.
for me to.
Yeah.
Like Ireland supports their artists.
Yeah.
And I did a couple residencies there. Artists don't have to pay taxes. I mean, they
Yeah.
support artists with
Yeah.
funding.
But
Make it
there's a
possible.
group. There's a
Girl,
group.
your ass is just melting like sugar.
Yeah.
There's a. That's because she's hot.
I'm hot, hot, hot.
She's hot.
It's like civil syrup going on melted sugar. Here.
Thanks.
Do you need like more anything? Let me
No,
know.
my
we're,
God.
Well, we're out of that.
I am perfect.
So we're down down
well,
to
just
gin.
Gin, and
Gin
that'll
and
be-
ice. I can do it.
Okay, so what's your favorite color?
Mine.
Wait.
We didn't. We
You know,
never
I'm
got to
doing
where I
2
live.
interviews at
I
once.
know,
I'm
yeah.
not used
This
to
is a
that.
first.
But this may be the only one I ever do because
Hard.
you guys are so connected
We are really.
in a good
Do
way.
you want me
Yeah.
to tell you the history of our how we met and everything?
I already did.
Did we?
Yeah, we met at that
Yeah.
loft in.
But I want to know who's your favorite
Did you get
writer.
On that
Again.
note, I'm gonna take a twinkle while you
Okay,
talk
you
because I
pee.
love you.
Is that like a tickle?
But you already know the answer to this.
I know
but
the
there's
an-
no answer.
I know this where we're going. So I'm gonna pee. Is that okay?
Yes.
Sure, go pee.
No, you have to be
No,
here.
right
No,
here.
and
I hope you have a diaper on.
Actually, bring me a receptacle for a cigarette.
Now they're doing commercials for
'Cause
diapers.
I do
Thank
smoke.
God. Come
I'm
on.
having so much fun. by the
I
way.
am
this
too.
Is fun. This
So
is fun.
you and I
Okay,
are going to
now-
talk about your writing.
Well, we can talk about my writing.
Yeah.
But don't ask me who my favorite writer is.
Can't do
Because-
it?
Well, it's impossible. You know what I mean? I'll tell you this. I
Who
like
inspires you though?
women writers who break through. Adrienne Rich, Kathy Acker. People that inspires me. Philosophers who don't think in the same way that people do, but also have style and when they're writing about philosophy.
They make you think
And
outside of the box.
Yes, I don't like conventional, what might be called metaphysical conclusions to anything. There is no right way to be. Do you think there's a right way to be?
No. But how many miles do we have to go to figure that out?
Right.
You know?
And I have friends, good friends, who kind of say that's really kind of obvious, Navi. I mean, that's...
No, it isn't though.
But I still don't think it is either.
No.
I like when I find things in some like something I might find on her bookshelf.
Which I will show you guys. I'll
The
spin
Zoo.
it around. There's a
There
bookshelf
might
for that.
be like one thing in there. It's like, oh, have you ever seen
books
anything like
everywhere.
that?
There are old books all around us.
Yes.
Like really old.
And teapots
And
and,
the
lights
art books.
and
So it's like
Japanese
this is
prints
this-
and
yeah.
all that.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So I try to, I don't know, sift my way through that. But at the present time, what I'm most into, if it matters to anybody,
I mean, everything
is to not be doing that so much because I'm trying to do something that I'm not sure you know about.
I don't.
Marlene and I decided in Berlin this last year to publish a book on our own. And the book is going to be a combination of her images but not her paintings. It's not like that. More of her these images. Because if you all don't know about Marlene, who just left, so let's talk to her. And let's make out.
She's peeing.
Let's make out. No, but it's that she is we were just talking about how grand a painter she is, but what I really know her as, even more than that, is the like intimate lines of an image that is that big.
What you guys don't know is the two of them travel to places that scare the shit out of it. So yeah, come on back in here, girl.
But
You're a
so-
quick peer.
I'm
Good for you.
back. Oh my god, and I had to put a jumpsuit on too.
Well, I was talking about
That's
making
amazing.
out with them and everything.
Oh, well, there you go.
No,
It's all good.
But no, but so the book I'm talking about the book now
Right on.
is going to be made up of not Marlene's big paintings that everybody knows, like the
But sketchbook.
but like,
Is my arm hair bugging you?
No, I'm loving it.
Good.
and then it'll be short poems by me, not serious poems. For once, I'm going to be
Light.
not. Can we
Yeah,
hear a poem?
Yes.
Let's hear a poem.
Which one?
That was with hearing aids, by the way. Which I don't think they're working. Like, because I'm still asking people what. I don't know if it's because it's a habit.
Yeah.
But the point
We're gonna-
is, it's going to be, and it's going to be called. You'll love this. Excuse me, everybody.
It's the
I'm
gin.
verklempt.
Gin.
It's the
We
gin.
knew something was gonna happen with the gin.
It's going to be called Word Train Top Knob.
I love your Instagram is word train.
Train.
Train
top
top knob.
I didn't know it was.
Well, no, the
I just
book
thought it
is
was
going
weird.
to be. Yeah,
I
Word
love
Train.
it.
Word Train. So the whole idea started, everybody, by Marlene took a photo of me, just happened to be, it was very happenstance, in Berlin, but it was just a beautiful photo. She got the top of my head
The knob.
in front of the S-Bahn, the
Train.
train, the yellow Berlin train
So it
that
was
everybody
the top
everybody
of his
would know.
knob. We do words.
Yep, and
And
then
there
the
was
words.
a train.
But no, but most importantly,
Word train.
Most importantly, there were words above the train, graffiti left over from old Berlin
Right, from
that said
like
something like
1980,
"fuck the
yeah.
police,
Yeah.
make art,"
Yeah.
or something like that.
Something
So the
great.
photo is "fuck police, make art," the S-Bahn going over, and then
And
the top of
his
my head.
knob.
I love that. That should be the cover of the book.
It is.
That is the cover of the
Okay,
book.
cool.
Oh my God! Spoiler alert!
No, but I love you for saying that.
It is. The,
Love.
It is.
That's the cover of the book.
I know. We were gonna keep it a secret, but it's a great photo.
But
Yeah,
the fact that
it's
you
alright.
thought about it.
You're a good artist.
speak
you,
out
You
loud.
understand.
I mean, I think out loud.
Right.
No,
You get
but
a vision and you know. You're like, oh no, that's it.
That would be a great book cover.
Yeah, it is.
And
So these guys travel. You guys have been everywhere.
Yeah,
but
lots of places.
They see the way this works here is not necessarily for me, but most people,
Should we all be looking
artists
into the
and,
camera?
and people that live here, you work your balls off from October to May,
Yep.
and you make as much money as you can,
Yep.
and then you get the hell out of here.
Yes.
Yes.
And you guys live kind of by that.
Yes.
We're really
Yeah.
trying to make that. I mean, at this point, we're pretty damn close, but that's the vision.
It's
yeah.
very lucky.
Well,
Yeah.
you've been doing it.
And I want
Yeah,
to give a shout
we're
out
close.
to the people at Sloppy's who give me time,
Yeah.
who give us time to do that.
Because you guys are
Yeah.
living it real, and but some of the photo we're Facebook friends, and I follow you guys, not in a stalkerish way.
Not in a stalker
Well,
way.
it's okay if you
I like
did.
Little
stalkers.
bit.
I like stalkers.
Okay, a little bit.
It's okay if you did.
I like stalkers.
But so sometimes like there's pictures of you with like guys with machine guns behind you, and I'm like, Marlene,
Sometimes.
get out of there now.
Sometimes.
Well, it's so funny you should bring that up because recently I've been diving deeper into my old photographs. So I did a lot of travel when I was younger. and I have these photographs of like Sudan, Botswana, and like parts of
No.
Egypt.
Egypt?
In 1992.
They make
when-
fucking tables out of people. No.
But I was so young, I didn't really. I was young and I was stupid. That's the answer. Young and stupid and
And
found-
blonde.
And
But you
blonde.
learn from the journey.
Oh my god! I think that traveling should be a priority before certain math classes,
Oh my
before
God.
certain biology classes.
Oh, there's
that you
no
use
question.
it in a way that you will never, ever, ever, ever use math
However,
unless
I
you
agree.
are that's
I
your
agree.
world. Like
But
it,
if
it
you
comes
go-
in handy all the time.
If you
for
go
me.
to different places, you're less likely to hate different people. You're more likely to understand what they're going through. I mean, they're like
Opens
they're
you
and the more you
up.
do it, the less like I can get to a country now and let go of my Americanism.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
And that took time.
yeah,
yeah,
let it
yeah.
go.
I learned that actually in Paris
Mhm.
because I was renting Airbnbs and the kitchens had no oven.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, how the hell do you
What the hell
cook
is
meat?
that?
I asked this one girl who was like, I guess she was a model. Her waist was like this thin. And she looked like Uma Thurman. Could have
Yeah.
been her.
Could've been open.
And but you had to walk up like 4,000 steps,
Yeah.
and there was an old lady, and this, you hear like Ed, you had to use your cell phone for light
Yeah.
to get up the steps. Anyway, that's another story. No oven though. See, what you learn is that I finally said to myself, let go of your Americanism.
Yeah.
You know, live like a Parisian. And
Yeah.
Parisians go and they eat at a cafe on a table on the sidewalk, and you watch people and you enjoy the sandwich or
And you
whatever.
you eat your meal
yes,
over a long period
yes,
of time.
calm.
Over a long period of discussing it with each other.
Really important.
And
That person.
to do.
So.
Who is
Hi, how
that
you
person?
doing?
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
Cool.
I got a Parisian poem.
Poem
For
from
you.
Paris.
Really not related to this, but just because I'll do it. Recall with me our first days in Paris in the tiny, cheap little hotel. Hotel? No. Let me start again. Recall with me our first days in Paris in the tiny, cheap Hotel de Commerce and Monsieur Matouzy. We drank wine. We played cards. We laughed so hard we got a pounding on the paper-thin walls, telling us in French to shut the fuck up. Fermez de la guerre. That's shut the fuck up in French. No, it's
Very impressive.
Fermez de la guerre. We asked questions. Why did Paul Celan drown himself in the Seine on April 20th, 1970? Paul Celan is a poet. Why did Deleuze jump from his window on November 1st, 1995? He's a philosopher. But we both knew the answer to these questions, and so we drank wine and we played cards. And then you read me Beckett's Company, just as the sun was rising, and I've never heard anything so mesmerizing.
It's not about me.
Really?
It's about the girl who
He-
introduced me to her.
He's written a lot of poems about me, but that's about the girl who introduced us, and he was in Paris with her for 3 months writing a poem.
Why do you have to bring that up?
Well, because
I
'Cause
didn't
it's
bring it up.
true.
it's true.
Don't look at me!
And it's beautiful.
No, but I only
And
wrote
it's
the
really
poem. But I
beautiful.
only wrote the poem, like a year ago, maybe, because you and I have such a great relationship about that kind of thing.
It's so.
But
as an outsider, it's totally like a solid.
Mhm.
Like you
Yeah.
look at it like if
She
these
could
two
say
people
the same
hadn't
to
met,
me.
it wouldn't have been the right planet.
Yeah,
You know, I
Agreed.
mean,
it's really great.
Well, I will say this about that. I met Greg when I was 29. I dated. I hated him. I hated him. I hated him. I hated him. I met Greg. I was engaged in 2 months. We were married 1 year to the day of meeting.
wow. And
So it was like
yeah,
18 years later.
I married a guy after
Both
a
of us
month.
did that.
Woo!
Did you meet Terry?
Both?
Yes.
When you were working at Stone Soup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Melissa hated it. Hated it. He hated her. That was,
He was cute.
he was hot.
Yeah.
But
He was
yeah,
hot.
you don't marry somebody after meeting them a month later. But
Well,
clearly,
except
here-
for us.
You might.
there's 2 months.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
say
You
that
waited
you
2
shouldn't do it.
months.
We met. What day did we meet?
Okay, we met on July 19th, 1999.
And we married.
I asked her to marry me on October 21st, 1999. And we married on July 15th, 2000.
2000.
This gives me hope
Yeah.
because as an artist, actually that's bullshit. As a
human.
it's just who I am.
Yeah.
Not
As you,
everyone's
as a
like
Sean.
this. Yeah.
More people should
When
be
I
like
have a
this.
chemical reaction to someone,
Yeah.
that's one,
Yeah.
Right.
and it's intense.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I had that with Terry, and I was just like, I'm in 100%, but didn't know.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong, I mean, he's just not.
Did you get the whole? And we don't need to go down this path if we don't want
Yeah,
to,
sure.
but we
That's what it's
can.
about.
We're going down this
High
path.
artist work.
But I will say this about that: when I met Greg and I was 29 and living in New York, and we go to the artist meeting and blah blah blah, it was the first time I was totally myself, and I felt celebrated as an artist. Like I felt encouraged as an artist rather than
Yep.
ashamed of not being the artist I thought I should be. Like, because I
Right.
dated other artists and they made me feel kind of like, oh, I'm not as good as I
Not as
should
good as
be,
you should be. I've been
right?
there.
Like, yeah, I'm just this stupid kid in New York making weird art in the back room. And Greg came in and Greg was like, yes to everything.
Supportive.
Oh my God. So supportive to everything and just a total and incomplete yes to all of it. Like, to
I
all of
was.
it. Yeah. So.
That's well, and let me just say, it is not easy being married to a fellow artist.
Yeah,
You know,
No.
because
Well,
Terry,
I'll tell you
Terry's
this.
an artist.
Yeah.
I mean, in a different way completely, and there was this competitive edge that was weird,
Yeah.
and
Was he a visual artist like you?
yeah,
Yeah.
he did landscapes and
I
stuff.
wonder if that would. And honestly,
Well,
I don't know.
I was just about to say to the camera that
Yeah.
I think it was our second or third date,
Mm-hmm.
maybe second date, but very early, very early. So we'd had the wonderful experience at this art gathering I had perpetuated, and so we knew we had this thing, but now what are we gonna do? So I think the first date was like at a bar and we just talked and then I spilled wine on her and all that, and I've written poetry about that too. But there was a second or third date where you were going to a writer's workshop in the West Village, and I was supposed to meet her in the West Village after a writer's workshop, and I'm like,
You're right.
Did that
Well.
bother you? It bothered
no,
you?
no, it didn't bother me until I thought about it later, that when she mostly became a visual artist, because she's a great writer, by the way.
I believe that.
That how that could have been a turning point for either of us. If I had been a visual artist,
Right.
or you had been a
Any
writer,
kind of competition.
or
It's weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's very common. Of course, we're drawn to other artists,
Right.
but not necessarily is it good.
Well, it doesn't
Well,
last very
I
long.
think what you want is another artist that enhances your craft.
Right.
So I think Greg and I got really lucky
We got
because
lucky.
Greg's craft and my craft, they enhance one another.
And not
Like,
only
we're
that-
kind of playing off each other because I have a really strong background in philosophy
Yep.
and Greg's background is in philosophy.
Yoga.
But
For yoga,
his yogic
I
pho-
studied
You're
yoga
the best yoga
philosophy.
instructor I've
Oh,
ever
thank you.
had.
Thank you.
But
But
go
what's
ahead, go
interesting,
ahead. Yeah, sorry.
that my philosophy is very Eastern yogic, India based, and Greg's philosophy is Nietzsche, Deleuze. It's
Okay.
Foucault.
But
But
I do
they're
have a
talking,
background in
but we're talking about almost the same things. It's the same kind of celebration in life. The language is different, but the sentiment's the same. So we're coming from these two different traditions, but we're speaking the same language.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I
I
think
always
we're
thought- I
kind
was-
of making each other better.
But again, they blend.
Yeah.
Like
They
they're,
do.
they're,
Yeah.
they're roots that just kind of grow
Yes,
around each
absolutely.
other.
Yeah.
It's so interesting when we talk to one another. He's always like, it's the same thing. It's what I'm reading. It's what I'm thinking. It's what my philosophy. Well, I'm over here in yoga and Sanskrit,
Right.
and he's over here.
And I'm in a cafe.
Yeah,
having
in
coffee,
Paris in
having too many,
1922.
having too many espressos.
Yeah.
Can we talk about something that I love? I love the story, but you can say no.
I
I
never say
doubt
no.
we'll say
We
no.
don't
Really?
say no.
You don't
We-
say no?
We say yes to everything.
Okay. In Italy, I've never been more energized. It was magic. And when I say that, I mean it. Like the energy filled every single person
Yay.
in the room, and it was an intense moment for the two of you.
Yeah. We had a
Uh,
bad moment.
And
Oh,
No, it wasn't
the
bad.
moment.
what,
No,
We had a
no.
moment.
every
I can-
moment.
Yeah, we had a
it
moment.
is what
I
it
can
is.
Yeah,
speak to
right,
that.
right.
Yeah.
I didn't go on that. I stayed behind and I did a little watercolor for that woman. I just felt so terrible. There was this old woman who lived with us
Well,
in
here-
this farmhouse, which was 800 years old. It was
With
beautiful.
goats and cows. and
Yeah,
up
but
on
you
a
couldn't
hill.
flush your toilet paper. I mean,
Crazy.
there is some weird shit that, again, letting go of your Americanism.
Right.
And this old woman took care of us.
Yeah,
she
she
really
did.
did. Like
She
she did
did.
some shit that
She
I
took care
wouldn't
of my
want to
foot
do.
the next day.
And I loved her. She had the best soul.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
wanted to do a little watercolor for her before I left.
Mm-hmm.
So I did one at the courtyard where they host people for lunch, which is amazing.
This was
Yeah.
right outside of Siena, by the way.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
this
like
old
between
farmhouse.
Florence and Siena.
Yeah. Up on a hill.
Montereggiore.
You could walk- What was-
Montereggiore
is that the town?
was the town up,
The
I mean,
town.
the castle up the hill.
Monterey.
So that's where we would walk to.
Yeah.
I
And
bought
I
all
couldn't
the
walk down
chocolate.
from-
Okay, the two things was it was a vegetarian retreat, so I brought back as many sausages and pepperonis as I could find in
By
that
the way, I don't do vegetarian retreats anymore. I let people have meat now on their retreats.
in my backpack. I had meat
I've done one too many vegetarian retreats.
and they only had wine. So I found this little shop that sold chocolates filled with liquor, and I bought all of them. Ginny Highland and I bought all of them.
They were delicious.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that poor woman, I felt terrible for her. So I did this little watercolor for her, and then I wrote her this note about thanking her, and the guy that owns the place translated it into Italian and wrote it on the back of the painting,
Do you remember?
or the woman's husband.
Lucas?
No, it was a like a Eastern Europe, Franz.
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 Oh my God.
He was sweet.
Are you kidding me? He
Franz.
remembers everything.
I don't
Franz.
And
remember
the
what
other,
her
there was
name
another
was.
yoga instructor from San Francisco who looked like Angelina Jolie, and she was a bitch. And her
Yes.
husband is totally gay.
Yeah.
Let's move on. You
Yeah.
don't play the piano in the yoga studio,
No.
Judy Garland, and tell me that you got 3 kids and you're
Okay,
married.
let me just put it.
Not gonna be edited out.
Let me put my fingers up. How many?
Not doing it.
How many people do you say were there? 12.
No, there was definitely 16, right?
Okay, 16. So
No, probably
somebody
18.
put 6
There's a
fingers
couple
up.
people from San
Somebody put
Francisco.
6 fingers up. No, I'm doing a thing.
10, 5.
16 people went on that retreat.
So, what?
3 of them were from San Francisco.
Yeah. Is that
And
supposed to be a dual thing?
they made it like whatever they were doing was so San Francisco. So you guys aren't doing yoga, and all
I'm
this.
sorry, man.
Okay, those 3 people wouldn't have made any money, wouldn't have gotten anything done without Arlene.
And,
And
we're starting.
everybody else.
I never finished my story. So
Sorry.
big old chunk.
John, please.
This is gonna be bad if she sees this, but you know what? I don't care. Because
So
she was a
okay.
bitch, man.
No, she was not.
Yes, she was.
No, let me explain. So, it was easy to go to town. Like you walked to this village that was walled up. It was really cool. And do you need more?
I'm good. I'm iced up.
Do you guys need more? I do.
Yeah.
I love gin again.
I love gin.
Evidently, I only loved it once before. So,
We're all dead. We're all in it.
so you could walk to this walled city, which was incredible. And I stayed behind, and you guys walked back, and
Yeah.
lunch got a little colorful.
As it
And-
would.
And
So
yeah,
why not?
You're in Italy. No judgment.
Yeah.
So, the way it was set up is San Francisco, Angelina Jolie,
Oh.
not that impressed.
No.
In the morning. Sorry, Marlene. This has nothing to do with
Oh,
you, and
we're
these are
over her.
not her thoughts. They're mine. So don't judge her for that. So
I would.
we do yoga in the morning, which I thought was kind of pussy a bit. You know, like because I was working with you here, and I had reached a pretty good level.
Right.
If I did that now, I would
Yeah.
stroke out. But so we were doing yoga in the morning, and so I didn't do a lot of your classes, which I really regret. But that one class I did that night,
The fire class.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Burn it down class.
That was
And
my
she-
class.
Navi shows up,
Yeah.
and they've been drinking all day.
But I had so much. I was so full of her.
You're gonna support her.
full of all of that. No. I was so done with all this.
Well, but you were also just going to show up and support
But
me no
I'm
matter
going to support Marlene. So I'm pissed on the one hand, up on the mountain, drinking.
You made it back.
I come down with help from Amy Jenkins, and she had to help me
Love her.
all the way down.
Huge
So
love.
I say
Huge
I'm
love.
going to support Marlene no matter what, and I go to this, and I am too
You were
fucked
hammered.
up to do it, and I'm like, I can't.
Well, it was a super energized class, I think.
And
Like,
then no,
you know?
but
we don't have to-
let's skip
but-
this.
Yeah,
because okay,
you
that
ended up
happened.
realizing
It's
it.
all my fault, but I realized it and I left
You
the
totally
class.
exited.
Yeah.
I totally did.
But let me tell you what
But
happened.
what
after.
Marlene did after that is
Holy crap!
yeah. I have
Like
to
she's
do it.
teaching a class.
I'm gonna leave right now and recreate it.
So, she's teaching this class, and Nabi, you know, we all kind of know what's going on. You know,
Yeah,
some of the
sure.
people were with
What's
them,
out
some
there.
people weren't. But so, I was towards the back with Constantine, this guy I was dating at the time, and her energy, which is amazing. You know, because I'm Irish and I just go right in anger and yelling. And you took all, which I'm sure you felt, anger. And you put it towards this class. And it was called Burning Down, we called it Burning Down the House. And I'm not one of those people that joins in groups where they start screaming, like, I want you to say it. You know, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
right. Screw
You had me
Burn it down.
down. You're like, burn it down, scream it, and I did. I was screaming it, and people that didn't take the class that were upstairs were scared.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah, like there's something going on down there. But you infected's the wrong word. Inspired. It was inspired, and one of it's a learning experience in the top 5 for me.
It's awesome. That's amazing.
Don't even thank
Yeah.
you. You know what I mean? Like you had no idea that was the most inspiring moment.
Well, I'll say this about that, and I say that a lot apparently. I think when it comes to authentic feelings, like that's, so we talked kind of about the background of that class that I taught that night, that there is this authentic thing
can
that's
hear you.
going on where I'm not, it's not about teaching a class anymore, it's not about my students, it's about what is this energy, what the hell is going on, and finding a way to articulate it. So rather than anger, so anger is fire, fire is transformation. So let's go that route. So kind of following that thought process and that vibration, and when you're coming from a place that's angry, and fiery and truly looking for transformation. I think it comes out, that's when you get the good moment. And that's why I don't know if you can always teach those classes a second time.
That was a gift.
Yeah, that's that moment. I mean, I think that I will teach another class that's based on fire and transformation, but
Do you know what I
never
mean though?
quite the same moment.
The connections of
Yeah.
everything that happened to you
Yeah.
that day led to
Yeah.
that incredible
Oh, absolutely.
moment.
Absolutely.
And you had to be there.
It's all
Not
a
that your
gift.
classes, her classes are incredible. I gotta come back. But I'm afraid I'm gonna die now.
You're
it's
not
just like I've
gonna
let
die.
myself totally go.
You're not gonna die. You'll sit down and you'll wait until you can do the next thing and whatever.
Child's pose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I say
You don't have to
something?
do anything.
Can I say something
Please.
that was absolutely the best thing about the next day of that?
Is it
Are
dirty?
you still talking about
Yeah,
that?
sure.
Is I felt so bad about doing that, about having done that.
You apologized to me like five
I know,
times.
I know.
I'm like,
But
shut
do
up!
you
I've
remember-
been you 1,000 times.
But do you remember us going into Siena and then having lunch in Siena and right on the square, and I was feeling that way, and hey, everybody, you should know that Sean is a great guy because you actually made me feel like it's all right,
Yeah.
man. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't do so
Great
bad a
energy.
thing.
Great energy.
You really did that. So
I love you.
Love that guy. Love the guy who's doing this. This
Yeah,
guy.
and that's just
Yeah.
that's just life, man.
Yeah.
No,
Shit
but
happens.
I was you, been you 1,000 times.
Might be
That's
you
called
again.
living. let me look at some of these questions.
Okay, let's do it.
What brought you to Key West?
Oh, that's interesting. So Greg and I met in New York City, and we had a loft place in Brooklyn, New York, in Bedford, New York, right underneath the JMZ. And the only reason I'm going into such detail, if anyone's from Brooklyn, New York, you know how Williamsburg, Brooklyn has gentrified. So we had this amazing giant loft space in the Dandy Zipper Factory. And one day our landlord came to us and said we're going from commercial to residential, which meant that our rent was going to go up about $3,000 or $4,000, literally overnight. And we always knew it was going to happen, so we enjoyed the space while we had it, and always knew that there was going to be a next thing. Both Greg and I had been living in New York for a long time. We're like, okay, something completely different. Let's do something different. We had a friend that lived in Fort Lauderdale. So we came
Julie.
down, Julie Daytone.
Hi, Julie.
What's
And Gary.
Julie Dayton. And so we came down and visited her, and somebody had mentioned Key West to me as, you know, an artist haven. And so when we came and visited her, it was like, let's go check that out. And we knew we were on our way out in New York. I couldn't possibly find another apartment in New York or Brooklyn. I'm like, just too tired. I'd done it so many times.
You're done.
Let's do something different. And so we came down here, 2001, and it was like, okay, bring it. Let's do something completely different. And so
And your palette changed.
my palette.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll say this about that. That was New York to Key West, and I made some art. We left Key West in 2004 and went out
yeah.
to San Francisco. And we lived
Yeah.
in San Francisco for 4 years.
I did not know that.
2005.
Yeah, and Greg is from the West Coast.
Yeah.
So so we were out in San Francisco for those years, and that's when
He's from Pomona.
he is from Pomona, but
I
lived
lived
in
most
San
of my
Fran-
adult life in
in
San
San
Francisco.
Francisco.
My young adult life
Yeah.
in San Francisco.
So we were San Franciscans for a good amount of time, and that's when my palette was kind of dark. I was urban. I was kind of figuring it out.
I get it.
Yeah, and then we came back to Key West again, and that's when you and
Color.
that's when that all happened.
'Cause
So, yeah.
I
that's
spent
that
3
art.
months in San Francisco 2 years ago. A really great offer.
Yeah.
Paul Wiley, thank you.
Yeah.
He was a designer for Pottery Barn. Now he's doing his own stuff
Awesome.
and living in Spain.
Awesome.
But
really
let me
good.
stay at his
Good for
house and
you.
watch his cat Pooter, which Pooter, I miss you terrible.
Oh, man.
Totally do.
Yeah.
And
What neighborhood were you in?
Robin Williams was like 3 before he had passed away, but died.
Bernal Heights.
Yeah.
Vernal
yeah.
Heights, way south.
I could see the Golden Gate Bridge from
No,
the
that's
bedroom.
No,
Pacific
that's
Heights.
Pacific Heights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
No, that's
Wow,
fine.
that-
No, but you're up on a hill.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
Looking
Pacific
down and
Heights,
it's awesome and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
beautiful.
Clement
Yeah.
Street. Love
Yeah, yeah.
that
Yeah.
street.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's, on
San
the way
Francisco
into
was
Richmond.
interesting. I dated a guy, dating a guy.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in a year
Yeah.
year and a half.
But he's out there.
He's out there, and we talk every day.
Let's
Uh,
go out there.
Yeah, which I think is I think it's an anchor for both of us.
Yeah.
You know, but we don't see each other. So anyway, interesting. I'm not a city person, but
No,
this isn't
see,
about me.
Total city person.
But-
Total.
Are you really?
Oh my God.
Oh, big
total city person. Like
Oh,
when I get
both
off,
of us.
and I love Key West, don't get me wrong. So when we talk now, the community that I said I love, but when I get into a city, like so when Greg and I would travel and we
Oh,
get into
man.
Berlin and we get back to New York, it's like,
This
it's like
is
it's like sweet relief.
this is the last trip.
When I say this guy walks around with a book
City.
all the time,
Yeah.
that's his Bible, and he
Yeah.
writes in it every day.
I love
do.
an urban land.
Just like
But it's-
we
we-
paint every day. We
Yeah.
started off
Yeah.
this conversation, but you actually brought it up.
Poetry.
Yeah.
Is a practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, like, I go through a day or two of not painting, and I'm disturbed.
You're
by
like, what
it.
am I doing?
Oh,
Yeah,
I
like
can't.
it just
I don't know where I
disturbs
am.
me.
Right.
And there, I also want to talk about when we leave. We're running out of light, so I'm trying to.
I
like,
know, I know.
I'm not going
Do you
by
want-
any of the questions.
Do you want some light? Should I try to find light?
Do you know how to? Like, I don't know how to stop and start again. So.
Well, just let's keep going.
Well,
Yeah.
keep talking, and I'm gonna see if I can find light.
Okay, so and
Because I'm having so much fun, I don't-
Interject as you go.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
as an artist, all of us,
Right.
we leave reality to go into this place. For me, it's a painting. For you, it's a poem.
Right.
Yeah, totally want it.
Okay, I'm gonna set up chairs, and you guys talk.
Okay.
Can we actually physically move it in there? While
Yeah, I
it's
just have
happening?
to lift it.
All right, cool.
I think
But
we're-
anyway, but you're
this is
right,
all
I
new to
understand.
me. I'm just doing this because I
Right.
love doing it.
But this is great.
This is my social way of getting to know the
Yeah.
people that I love and who are creative better.
But what it's great for, what you're doing, I think, and I'm telling you this, but I'm looking at the camera, is that this is fantastic. You are getting to know everybody that you're talking to, including us, and it's all a bunch of bullshit a little bit, but there's no bullshit.
I'm learning about you.
But everything is the same about you want to work on paintings, I want to make poetry. Whether we're successful at this or not is not
Doesn't
the
matter.
point.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not the point because
At
it
all.
is what drives my whole life. And it drives
Word
your whole
train.
life. Word train, top knob.
Yes. and so here's the thing.
Yeah.
We have a foot, and this is something that I've brought up before with other interviews, is we have a foot in reality, meaning here,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a foot in fantasy. For me, it's when I'm in a painting, I'm in a painting all day.
Right.
And then I come out of it. Sometimes I'm not totally out of it yet. I'm
Right.
talking to people like, that guy's fucked up.
Right.
You know,
But
and
then
the more I do it, the longer I do it.
Yeah. But then you have to go get some food.
Right.
I mean,
Well, I
quite
obviously
seriously.
don't have a problem with that.
Well, no, but the point is, at some point you have to go get food, you have to pay rent, you have to do all that. So it does come back. You know, but as far as we can get away from that, it's interesting to me. Like, how far can it...
My curiosity
try to
is,
move?
we're gonna
Store?
move.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we got.
Peeps,
Right,
all-
we're gonna
we're
move.
moving into
Are
the
we
studio.
gonna try to do it while we're doing it?
Yeah, we're doing it.
All right, I
This
got
is-
We're
I-
moving.
I
So
got
This
you
shit's
can
real.
show the
The straws.
books, and you can show outside.
All right, so those are her books. These are Depu's books. This is her old library.
It's amazing.
Library. There's an R in there. And we're walking into her studio.
So this is how we get into my studio. So the communal space, and then this is kind of my crunky little spot right now. and it's bright. So I might change the light a little bit.
There could be music.
Keep that shit close. We're gonna kill that bottle. Like, oh,
I know, we are gonna totally kill that.
I broke your chair.
I thought the thing
I'm
was
sorry,
about
Mom.
getting-
No, don't be sorry. There's nothing to be sorry about. You can edit whatever you want.
Fat old man sitting in a chair.
Saddle.
I'll tell you,
It's light.
All right, I'm
this.
leaving that there for now.
I'll tell you this, that I feel secure enough in myself
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
do
to never have to edit any of this.
No, I don't edit anything.
Here we go.
Damn, I'm gonna have a gin hangover.
Bingo. Shit is going.
Okay, that's
down.
it.
We're out of
Marlene,
here.
you want some?
No, yes, I definitely want some.
Okay, but
Then you're
you
gonna have
to
some
share
bar
mine.
because it's all gin.
It's all gin.
It's a gin band.
I did
There
that
you
on
go.
purpose. I
And
did that
then-
on purpose.
I gotta work tomorrow.
Is that better? No,
So do
we
I.
don't want that.
Sit down, girl.
All right.
It's all good.
So we have some hats.
No,
Hats are good.
it's a fascinating. I'm fascinated.
I'm fascinated. Greg-
I think I've worn
Greg
this hat
knows
before.
how I roll.
Love that. How awesome is that?
Oh, okay.
I've had this hat before.
All right.
I have, like a couple years ago.
No,
Scooch
okay.
people. All right, am I in?
You need to
Everybody
come
who
over
gets
here.
Everyone needs to
shit.
You
scooch.
need to scooch over.
That's mine and yours.
Scooch. All right.
Okay.
We all have to share.
All right.
I don't have my questions. I don't need them.
I'll get them.
You don't need them.
I don't think I need them.
We're very well lit right now. Do we all care?
So,
No.
Do I look good?
Hey, I want that fucking hat.
Do you want it right
you
now?
can switch.
No, but I love it.
Halfway through, we'll switch.
You look pretty extraordinary in that hat.
I can't. Actually, I do.
You
I
do-
look very
I-
sophisticated. Little
There
tilt.
you go. There you go. Oh! There you go. It brings out the Irish in you.
That's straight shit.
That is straight shit.
So,
Okay. So,
okay. Where are we now? So, where are you? Okay, I remember now. Some of the questions that I want to know. What was your most creative time to date?
uh-huh.
Is it, are you in it?
Right.
Not, we're not talking about the future.
Right.
We're
Right.
talking
Right.
about now
Right.
to
Um,
then. Is there a time that you think your work was like, holy shit, I don't know who's doing
I
this?
got it.
Mm.
I would say that right after I won a pretty good sized grant, so I got a big chunk of money, thank you. And it enabled me to buy all of the equipment that goes along with encaustics, which is a lot. So the setup is pretty expensive. You need a hot plate, you need heat guns, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I was able to take workshops. So that initial flush of learning how that all worked was, and that was probably about 2003, 2004, like that
I would say
initial
that.
flush where it all started to make
We were here
sense.
the first time, yeah.
Yeah, so that
yeah.
mixed media, like how do you create layers, how, like what you were saying, you look at something, you're like, how are they doing that? Like, I was able to figure out how they were doing that and do it, so.
You took it to the next level and
Yeah,
you did it.
and after that, again, and it was this flush of money, and I had a wonderful artist here in Key West, a woman named Jenny Zeller, who
You know her?
super great.
You must know her.
Jenny
I wanna
Zeller, yeah, Jenny Zeller was.
No, it'd be surprising to me that
She
you
worked
didn't
at
know her, but it doesn't matter.
She worked at Archeo Gallery for a long
Doesn't matter.
time. She worked at the Haitian Gallery for a very long time. Beautiful photographer, like really experimental photographer, amazing woman. She now lives in Louisville, but she was one of the first people that I met here in Key West, and she really encouraged me and inspired me and treated me like a real artist, and that was what I needed. And she said, you should really go for
Sure.
this big grant, which was way beyond the scope of what I thought I could
Was it the
get.
one here?
The Cultural Consortium,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's
That's awesome.
You got that too, did you?
So it was,
I came second
yeah,
in the state.
yeah,
That was kind of
But
a,
that's,
yeah,
it was exciting
Yeah.
to even be that far.
absolutely.
but that's kind of what happened to you too. Was it not? You just weren't the only one.
No, I
Oh,
Well,
good, man.
oh,
We
okay.
need supporters, and we
But
need grants.
anyway,
And let me
Her
say,
older husband
grants
is
are
saying-
not easy.
not easy. Yeah.
First of all, you got to put so much into it to even get it in there.
Yeah. You have to learn how to apply.
Right.
You have to learn
That's
how
a job.
how that goes. You have to, and I had a lot of help. Like I said, I had this woman who, and I also, a friend of ours was a professional grant writer at the time, our friend Cameron.
Oh God, yeah.
So,
Still a
anyway,
grant,
the
Cameron.
point being, this flush of money
You used it
helped
wisely.
me, like, okay, now I feel comfortable in dropping, you know, $5,000 on paint. Where do you feel comfortable dropping $5,000?
Fuck
No. So, but
Unless
that's
somebody else paid for
right,
it.
exactly.
That's the point.
So
Yeah, right,
that's
right.
the point. That's like this moment of like, oh my God, I can experiment and not feel guilty, and not feel like, oh, I don't have the money for it. I have for a hot minute, I got the money for it, and it was a life changer.
And you took
And
it
so
and
thank
you
you.
used it the
Yeah.
way it's actually meant to be. Now, in my story, it was my dad.
Yeah.
My grandfather was an artist.
Huh?
He was
How
an
did I
oil
know that?
painter from Ireland,
Mhm.
and I actually remember sitting in his studio
Mhm.
and
Wow.
him singing Irish
Ireland?
in Gale, no, in
In
Philadelphia,
Philly, yeah.
and just an amazing
Yeah.
experience. And even when I
You need
smell
that
oils
person.
now, I go right to this little tiny studio that he had in his house.
Yeah.
What
That's
a
pretty great.
bohemian man.
And at
way
that time, holy crap.
before.
Yeah.
And my grandmother was totally conservative.
Yeah.
Like she scared me a little bit. Sorry, Nana.
Sorry, we love you.
But I don't know where I was going with that.
That's right.
About having maybe a mentor or somebody that inspires you to go to the next level where you don't think you need to.
Oh,
You can't.
yeah. My dad
Like
actually,
Jay-Z.
because of my grandfather, my dad, who was total businessman, sports guy, not artist at all, saw the artistic person inside of me, and instead of saying no,
Yeah.
he was like, yes.
It's key. It's key. It's key. And it's, you know, my parents did the same thing for me. I think my mom didn't really know what it was that I was doing, and she, I don't know if she fully trusted it, but she never let me know that she didn't trust it
Totally get it.
until after I broke through, and then she was like, "Oh, I didn't really know for a
didn't know how
hot
good you
minute."
were.
And now just so celebratory. But my parents definitely showed me that there was a different way to
Support.
live. Oh my God, my dad's an artist, my mother's an artist in their realms. My dad's an architect, and he
Sculpture
designs
artist,
gardens,
yeah.
and now later in his life he does environmental art at
Cool.
83 years old. He's unbelievable. So I always had a vision, like, you can be different. Like, there's a different path. Like, it doesn't have to always look like, you know, this guy. It can look different. Life can
I
look
grew up in
different.
a Leave It to Beaver
Yeah,
household.
yeah. With what, 10
10
kids?
kids, yeah.
Oh God.
crap.
And it was all about business. We all had
Yeah.
to take, I studied business. Like I majored in business
Not a bad thing
administration.
for artists.
Actually,
Yeah.
you see me
Yeah.
doing
Turns out,
it.
yeah.
Like mine, like you
Mhm.
intertwine everything in your life. As much as I hate to admit it, I think that business thing in me,
Major.
because of my dad and my family,
Major.
definitely is intertwined with my art. Like I'm always marketing.
I
and-
almost feel like as an artist, it's more beneficial to get the business courses than get the art classes, because the art is going to come intuitively, and it's
From your own
it's like it's already
being.
implanted in you. Like
Right.
there's
But
nobody-
how to actually?
But business?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
how many artists do you know
Oh God.
that aren't in a gallery at all,
Yeah.
No.
aren't selling their work,
No.
aren't on any social media,
Yeah.
like, and then they look at you and you know their work is brilliant,
Yeah.
and they're like, I don't know how to sell it,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing to me is just like, I know how to sell it.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Well, I'll say this about that. I got myself an assistant. I got me somebody who,
You know who she is. too.
you know, helps me.
Penelope.
But it makes a huge. Penny Garcia, you're amazing. But
Oh,
that's amazing.
Penelope.
Penny.
Yeah.
Penny.
But having somebody
She's in Portugal
that
right
has
now.
that kind
I
of
know.
savvy.
She went fishing
yeah,
today.
I know.
She
We
went
saw it.
fishing.
We saw it on Instagram.
I said, you're never gonna catch Dennis sitting on your
Yes.
ass.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're actually at low battery on my phone,
Yeah.
which is totally
So
unprofessional.
is this the end then?
I
Hey,
feel like
okay,
there's-
then-
no, but
I
if this
feel
is
like
the
there's so
end-
many more questions.
But if this is the end,
I don't- I know.
I got
there
a
needs to be a
thing.
part 2.
I
there
got a
does.
thing.
There definitely
We
needs
we
to.
just scratched.
We
the
didn't even
surface.
like. I think we asked one question.
Okay,
Alyssa just went by and none of you saw it.
Okay,
I love that.
I want this to happen, and I know this is your movie,
No,
but
it's
I
our
would, I
movie.
would like you to
You want me to read it?
that.
I'm very dramatic,
Yeah.
and I'm wearing a
Yeah.
fascinator.
Yeah, a fascinating. And you
Read
look
that.
fantastic.
Yeah,
And
Great
and the
handwriting.
breaks are meant to be breaks, so it's easy to read.
Okay, I'm good at this.
Okay, ready?
Shouldn't say that before you do it. I'm by myself today, and it's dark and stormy in Campo di Fiore, Fiore. And so it seems to me to be a perfect day to sit in a cafe and drink dark and stormies. Staring straight at Bruno, my fire is lighting up again, like the lighting flashing over the Tiber. And I'm getting ink all over myself because everything, all the poetry that is spilling out of these ancient streets is deciding to meet me at my pen.
Oh my God, you read that so well.
Now you.
Okay. There was a rose you painted in the middle of a box one day with a pair of boots tied by 2 fingers, and I couldn't see the other 8, but on the box you wrote, "You do this every day." I assumed that you meant that I love roses and then I put my boots on every day, but with one more than 2 fingers. There are thumbs, you know, as well. But now I know, after a long time thinking about it, that you meant that there is always a rose in the middle of the box every day. And the way that you tie your boots every day should be the way that you love a rose.
I love that.
That's all I
love
have to
both
say.
of them.
You did really
See,
good.
Can't have
we
that.
are surrounded. Really? Like
No, sure.
I love poetry, so thank you.
I'm drinking your gin though.
What? Oh, okay.
Only because I poured the whole bottle of gin. Everybody.
It's all gin.
Your drink, I think, is over there.
And I now
No,
like
I don't
gin.
like
I have had a money
All
penny.
right.
Have you ever had one of those?
What is it?
Money,
A money
penny,
penny.
Money penny?
which is based on, I guess, a 007 character, and they make them at 0.5 on Duval Street.
No, I've never
And
had one of those.
My landlord lost my straw. My landlord ordered one, and I said, I'll try it. And that had gin in it, and it was very good.
And-
Cucumbers,
Cucumbers and
with
gin, always
Yes.
delicious.
Oh, that's good.
very good.
Yeah, totally good. Cucumbers.
Oh, it's refreshing.
Yeah.
It's very refreshing.
So straight vodka, straight gin, evidently. All right, you guys.
Wait for part 2,
I-
apparently.
doesn't
of
matter.
this.
We definitely need well, because
Oh,
there's 2 artists
I
here, we need
know.
a second part 2.
I feel
Point
that way.
is-
So if you guys will have me a second
Oh
time.
my God.
Definitely.
We will definitely do
should
this
we?
again.
Okay, no, but here's the question to everybody out there: should we be sober for part 2?
No, it's high art works.
It works.
There's nothing
Yeah.
about sober about it.
No.
No.
Unless
I mean,
you're drugged, like one of my friends, Krista Norman,
Yeah.
her drug of choice was cupcakes, and
Cupcakes?
Good.
cupcakes, sugar. So
Ah, yeah.
I went
Good
to
interpretation.
idea.
I went to Key West Cakes,
She's
which
being
is on
sassy.
White Street,
And delicious.
and I was 20 pounds heavier then when I worked at Stone Soup because it was a block away, and I would get cupcakes for both me and Elizabeth and Melissa, and we both got fat because of them, but they're delicious. So we had those cupcakes
Yeah.
from Key West Cakes,
Yeah.
and we talked about her
Yeah.
inspiration in her art.
Good interpretation. I have to say, I was gonna say caffeine, but then I'm like, gin's better.
No, caffeine, whatever it
Well,
is.
I don't know what.
This
how-
was way more fun
That is
though.
way more
how
fun
much
now.
And I was
harder-
scared. Like my liver was like, Sean, don't.
Really?
Yeah,
Aw.
my liver was like, don't do it.
Yeah.
But I feel great.
Good.
So
You look great.
Was
And
it
I-
fun?
I might be the hat
Yes, I
though.
had a great
How
time.
do we
Look
finish
at
it
the
off?
hat. You look fantastic in the hat.
Oh, yeah.
Look at you in that
Thank
hat.
you, dear.
How
Oh
do
my
we finish it
God.
off?
I'm ready for New York society.
Oh
I
my
don't
God.
look. I don't look very good. But
You-
Marlene
but that
does.
little sailor hat was cute as a
I
button.
know. You're cute as a button. All right, part 2. Right?
All right,
I had the
so-
poems.
You heard them. They've agreed to do it twice. So this is one, and we will do it again. And this is what this is about.
And maybe
I
we'll
don't-
do it in another part of the DePuy property, so you get to see another part of the DePuy property. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's
Very good.
pretty kind
And
of
how about
historical
your-
and
And you know
amazing.
who I want to bring into this?
Yeah.
Must have been.
Is Penelope.
Oh, well, Penny will be back from
Penny
Portugal.
Garcia.
And I
Penny
think-
is my yoga nemesis.
Yeah.
We're frenemies.
Yeah, no, it's good.
You know, we go way back.
I know. She's told me the story.
I lived in
know.
her compound.
Again.
And she was mean as a
Again,
snake.
it's full circle.
Mean as a snake.
And she's a great
First thing
artist.
she said to me, she pointed to her bicycle and she goes, "That's mine, don't touch it," and kept walking. I was like, whoa, well, happy to see you. Now I love the girl, don't tell her.
I've never known that kind of person.
Well, now I know why.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She was the only person that, anyway, long story. So,
We
peepers,
won't go into
thank you so much.
Bye.
Marlene.
Everybody.
Nabe.
Thank you.
Love you guys.
It's the best thing I've
I
ever been
love
a
you
part
guys so much.
Hope you got something out of it.
Well,
And if you didn't, fuck you.
doesn't matter. Doesn't fucking
But
matter.
would you?
I've been
would-
drinking gin.
Yeah.
But would you supply me with a link?
Yes, of course.
There's a
Okay,
link.
good.
HiArtworks.com.
All right.
And we're going to be doing this, and how awesome.
twice
What an
again.
experience to no. I can't even do it once a week.
I haven't sweated enough for this.
You haven't sweated at all.
Well,
That's
you know.
crazy. My shirt is wet. Anyway, peepers, love you. You guys, thank you.
Bye,
We're
thank
gonna do
you,
this
Sean.
again.
Definitely.
And
Let's all say one
we'll
thing.
see you guys soon.
Namaste.
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 Om Mani Padme Hum.
Namaste. Oh, my
Bye, peeps.
Hey, thanks.